think advanced science,
Internet, cable TV,
Pop culture.
Americanization,
McDonald's,
Starbucks, international media, freedom of speech,
Fast information,
free trade,
consumerism,
Hegemony.
climate change.
According to Merissa, an associate professor at Gomal University in 2009, globalization is a process of unifying and integrating society into a global village where powerful group of nations, corporations, and international organizations dominating the world. It creates extraordinary communication and interaction of people and culture around the world. Let's put this term in Indonesia's situation, one of developing countries incurs significant effects. A very important moment in Indonesia, which will have many influences on the way globalization affects Indonesia, is the setup of the new order from 1968 led by the President of Indonesia at that time, Suharto. New Order era opened to Western investments, discipline to economic policy that brought to inflation down. However, media and citizens have a limited freedom of expression. They could not express their disagreement, and they could not oppose or even criticize the government systems, as well as lack of people aspiration. This situation caused the reaction of mass student organizations asking for Suharto's resignation, which then Suharto himself announced his resignation publicly on May 21, 1998. It becomes a turning point for Indonesia, known as a Reformation era. The change of political system from the authoritarian to democracy signed by the rise of political parties and democratic presidential election. Media gain more power in disclosing information and news. Also, there is a growing tolerance toward Chinese culture, which is minority in Indonesia, and urban culture, as well as recognition of public holiday through several religion celebrations like Chinese New Year and Christmas. The emergence of the internet, satellite, and cable television uplift the accessibility to absorb new information and the improvement of films and entertainment industry. In here, it becomes the main medium where people preserve and promote their cultures. Bob Brown classified the mass media in the globalization process into two categories, which are aggressive media and resistive media. Aggressive media are the colossal information institution with countless audiences with the objective of greater uniformity and harmony of audiences. They tend to remove spatial and temporal boundaries in order to eliminate identity barriers. For example, CNN, a news channel based in America, which has many bureaus, 26 exist worldwide and 10 within US nation-states. Then we have CNN Indonesia, the subsidiary news broadcast company of Transmedia and Turner Broadcasting. It covers local, national, and international news that can be accessed from and to Indonesia. Moreover, based on a survey result in 2010 about movie industry, more than 250 Western movies aired in Indonesia compared to 70 Indonesian movies in theater. Resistive media tends to utilize the open atmosphere in the global information system in order to disseminate its own culture and ideology. They insist on promoting their local and national aspiration instead of finding a broader message for the vast global audiences. For example, batik, originated from Indonesia, have been successfully recognized across the globe as a cultural heritage by UNESCO in October 2009. As well, it was presented in Paris Fashion Week Spring 2012 and worn by several artists like Jessica Alba, Nicole Richie, Paris Hilton, Adele, Heidi Klum, and many more. In movie industry, Laskar Pelangi in 2008, The Raid in 2011, Mirror Never Lies in 2011 have been recognized globally in several international movie awards. deeper to the expansion of globalization in developing countries, Arjun Appadurai introduced us to the term of deterritorialization. As ethnic and national population move around the world, they are no longer tied to their home country in terms of territory, but only by emotional ties and attachment to their home country. He also explained 5 scapes of cultural globalization. First, ethnoscape is the vast mobility of people around the world, like tourists, refugees, immigrants, guest workers, and many more. For example, Javanese people move to Malaysia to work and make a living. Second, technoscape is moving to greater speeds with much less nation boundaries. For example, the internet in Indonesia is developing and enabling people to access information worldwide. Third, financescape is the movement of global capital and finance through currency markets, stock exchanges, and commodity speculation. For example, the enhancement of export and import of goods and services. Fourth, mediascape is global production and dissemination of news and information. For example, Indonesian society can get updated to Middle East condition by watching Al Jazeera TV channel. The last but not least, ideascape is ideologies of movements like religious, political, and so on. In Indonesia, we get influenced and absorb various cultures both from Western and Asian cultures. Americanization and K-pop wave are the best example of globalization's culture's effect. McDonald's, a fast food company that has 30,000 worldwide and 168 stores in 32 cities in Indonesia, based on survey per January 2016. It can be seen that the dominance of US culture increased the uniformity of habits in favor of consuming fast food. Whereas the K-pop music has been popular in the middle of 2000, while the Korean drama has been aired in 2004. On the other side, EDM, or we know it as electronic dance music, also goes so viral in Indonesia, up to the situation where we can biggest Southeast Asia EDM music festival. We know it DWP, or Jakarta Warehouse Project. As one of the developing countries that are dominated by the power of industrialist countries, it is important for Indonesia to gain and sustain the multicultural public attention. And here, the role of PR practitioners are crucial to engage the society emotionally and psychologically in order to manage their attention. Here, circuit of cultures is suggested to be applied as it is represent 5 moments that can answer each step of PR practitioners creating a campaign, which are regulations, productions, representation, consumption, and identities. Regulation comprises controls on cultural activity, addresses the limitation we have as practitioners, whether budgetary, legal, or cultural. Production is what we plan to do as PR practitioners, where strategy, planning, and research are the key activities. Consumers are in turn producers, and practitioners become the consumers of the meaning we generate. Consumption is how a product or idea is used and for what it ends. It is the site of production of new, competing meanings. Representation is the tangible form of productions. It includes the tactics, messages, themes, product designs, and informational and promotional materials, and any other forms of PR materials or activities. Identities is how we establish our organizational identity through our public relations. Finally, as Kofi Annan said, arguing against globalization is like arguing against the law of gravity. Therefore, what we can do is to re-examine some of our ideas, look at the ideas from other countries, from other cultures, and open ourselves to them.